All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is McCue, and today I'm headed out for a 4-miler. It's Saturday morning, like a brisk 45 degrees. But we're gonna be reviewing the Hoka One One Rincon 2s. I've had an interesting relationship with them, but we've made our way to a pretty good place together. So stay tuned. I'll show you a little bit of my run today. We'll get back to the apartment, and we'll talk about the Rincon 2s, how I feel about them. Done about 170 miles after today, but we'll go over all that. So, happy Saturday, happy weekend. Hope all the morning people out there are getting it done early. See you in a bit. All right, guys, so we are back in the apartment and we just ran 4 miles. Average pace, 9 minutes, 18 seconds, 37 minutes, 20 seconds total time, 164 feet of elevation gain, and average heart rate of 157 BPM. Having a good time out there, did some filming because we're gonna be talking about the Hoka One One Rincon 2s. I've now done 166 miles in these bad boys, and I think I'm ready to give a pretty good review. A lot of people I've been seeing out there doing reviews and saying that this shoe tends to break down around 150 miles. At least that exposed midsole that is the outsole tends to break down, which is relatively true, but I think I'm gonna get at least 200 out of them. But let's get into the build of these bad boys. All right, so taking a look at this shoe from the top down, we can start off obviously with the upper. The upper is a sandwiched mesh. I had a little bit of issues with this upper mesh in terms of breathability during the peak points of the summer, but I do think that overall the shoe is very lightweight, and the the upper does not really add much to it. Moving from there, some cushion, I would say, in the heel. And then as you work closer to the toe box, obviously you get to adjust the mesh point. But some decent cushion, I would say, in the heel. Not quite minimalist, even though the shoe is supposed to be kind of a maximalist, minimalist, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I would say you're gonna get a little bit of cushion in the heel. Obviously, Hoka gives you that heel tab, pull tab, just in case you have a hard time getting into the shoe. From there, the tongues, I mean, it's thin, it's comfortable. It reminds me a similar amount of cushioning as the Clifton Edge tongue, but this shoe is a non-gusseted tongue, which means it just doesn't connect to the upper or the midsole at all. Closer to the top of the tongue, it's only attached towards the bottom of the laces. Moving down from there, I mean, we could talk about this midsole, right? That Hoka midsole. Big, it's an EVA material. I think it really lends to the ride. It gives you that cushion while also being pretty lightweight. And then moving down from there, obviously, I would say the main talking point of this shoe, in terms of anyone who may have a real issue with it, is that exposed midsole on the bottom. It gets eaten up pretty quick, as you can see. If you want a lighter shoe, you can't really have that much of the actual rubberized zones. So yeah, that's all part of it. So you kind of finish off the shoe with the exposed midsole. In addition, the shoe is designed as a neutral shoe, so there's no added benefits purely for the sake of stability. In a men's size 9, it comes in at 7.7 ounces, and the shoe does have a 5mm drop, so nothing too dramatic, but it does have that big stack height of a 29mm in the heel to a 24, I think. Yeah, if I know how to do math, it's 24mm in the toe. So big stack height, tons of midsole for you to compress on as you crunch in the miles. So yeah, so first things first, you're gonna have a pretty snug, narrow fit in this shoe. If you got a narrow foot, awesome. You're pretty much all set. From my experience with it, I felt like it was pretty narrow. I had a little bit of rubbing in the first 50 miles on the outside of my pinky toe, but I did pick up some hints and tricks, mainly from the FOD runner. And he kind of pointed out that if you don't tie it as tight towards the bottom and then tie it tight towards the top, you can still get that lockdown everywhere while also avoiding some of the rubbing in the toe box. So be forewarned, it is a snug, narrow fit, but I mean, if it fits your foot, you're going to have a real good time with it. So when it comes to the ride of the shoe, it is super smooth. I think the early stage Meta Rocker works really well in transition. In your stride, it helps you kind of really just flow out there. I felt like I could get into a really good rhythm with this shoe. And I also thought that it ended up being really quiet. You know, it's not like the Nikes flapping along. You don't get the squeak of the endorphin speed. These are really like, these are sneaky shoes. So a couple more things about the shoe in terms of the fit, feel, and comfortable ride. I did get it up to a 20-mile long run, so you can certainly pound out the miles in this shoe in terms of long runs. I think it is, you know, it's lightweight. I used it for tempo runs and daily training runs. You can really kind of use it for just about anything, but it's going to hold out for this 20-mile. I would say probably you could do a marathon in this. I don't think I would specifically choose it out of the shoes I have now, but I think if this was your only shoe, you could do it. You could totally do it. I think it would withstand the miles fine. One thing I mentioned before, in terms of, I do want to mention kind of in this section as well, the breathability of the upper. In kind of the peak summer months here, I kind of struggled with a little bit of just overheating swampy feet in this shoe, along with also the Clifton Edge. It could just be me. I could just have really sweaty feet. I haven't really seen that from anyone else, so could just be me, but be forewarned, there's a little bit of, I think, a breathability issue when it comes to real heat in the Rincon 2s. Finally, again, it must be mentioned, the breakdown of the exposed midsole on the bottom of the shoe. I think it's something that happens, you know, in your first 10 miles, you're going to look at them and be like, holy crap, the shoe's not going to last, 3 weeks. I think it kind of gets torn up a bit the first couple times you go out, and it slowly does get torn up. I'm 166 miles into this pair. And yeah, I mean, they look torn up. The rubber portions look a little bit broken down, but like, I don't know. I have not noticed that affecting the way I run, the comfort of the shoe. It doesn't feel like the midsole's like gotten to that point where it's compressing and it's not, giving that comfort and cushion that it should. I think the shoe still runs, the same at 50 miles that it does now at 160. And I will no doubt be at least going 200 miles in this shoe. And finally, I would like to talk about the price point and kind of the comparisons of this shoe versus some others, and then my overall takeaways. It comes at $115, which right now for a really lightweight daily trainer, with a midsole, with the cushioning that can go for long runs up to 20 miles, this shoe is pretty awesome. Again, the lightweight, I think you could race, 5K, 10K in this if it was the only shoe you had, no problem. So it really can do it all. My closest comparison for what I've run in this year, I'm sure there's better shoes that are in comparison out there. I would compare this with the Saucony Kinvara 11s. That's my most recent Kinvara model that I've run in. Very similar. It's a lightweight, low drop, kind of minimalist shoe. And it also has that Power Run PB midsole, which is pretty new for the Saucony line of shoes. I would compare that with these. If you think you have a slightly maybe wider fit, I would maybe try on the Kinvaras before you jump into a Rincons. And I think the Kinvaras come in at like $110. So a similar price point for a lightweight daily trainer that can kind of do it all. I think I did run a marathon in the Kinvara 10s, so it's doable, I promise. So finally, bearing in mind that this is a do-it-your-all daily trainer that's also pretty lightweight, you can take it 26.2 miles if you really wanted to. You can do some speed training in it, and it's going to last a pretty long time for $115. Kyle McCue running rating out of 5. I'm going to give it a 4.1. That's a new scale. I'm just going to start doing it for reviews because I really want some sort of reference point as I look back on these. Like a year from now, if I pick up the next version of this, I want to be able to reference back to a margin of how I overall rated the shoe. So Hoka One One Rincon 2, 4.1 out of 5 on the KMR rating scale, newly developed from yours truly, but I think it'll really help in terms of giving a reference point for more shoes to come. Okay, and finally, that is more than enough to give you the update on how I feel with the Hoka One One Rincon 2s. 166 miles, definitely doing more in them, but I thought this was a good way to let you know how I'm feeling about them. This is the Kyle McCue review. I'm sure you can get more info from some other reviews out there. But yeah, if you do think you got anything out of this video, please like, comment, or subscribe if you're into that kind of thing. If you've run in these shoes before, let me know. Let me know what your lightweight daily trainer go-to of 2020 is. But for $115, I don't think you're gonna beat it.